you said Packers, and I said, yeah, you're right. That's a good pick. I said Rams, and you went on a 5-minute tirade about how I was out to lunch, didn't know what I was talking about, and crazy.
How do you know Puka Nakua was secretly Jezu? Pop, how you doing, man?
Son,
it's over.
Our long national nightmare has come to an end.
All season, I just had that. You just kept preaching that Lenny Kravitz song to me all season, but finally it's over.
What's that?
Over. It ain't over until it's over.
I think it's been a long time.
The many tears I cry. That's a banger, man.
Long time since I sang that one.
That's a great song, but it is over.
It's been over for quite some time.
Tell you what, man, Cowboys won 38-10. This is the second time we've just gotten our doors blown off us by the Cowboys this season. Probably the third or fourth time in the Rivera era. They just always seem to whack us with Rivera as head coach.
I hope their home crowd enjoyed it.
Yeah, basically played to a home crowd full of fake Cowboys fans. Whatever, they'll be back on their couches next week anyways. We've secured the second overall pick, and it's Rivera's last game as head coach. Pop, soak it all in. Tell the people where you're at right now.
Yeah, I guess that about says it all. It's the time we've been anticipating. I guess the fun really starts tomorrow, although I think tomorrow will probably just be an inevitable announcement about Ron, and I don't know how much we're going to know about what's next. Definitely be, soon we hear from Josh Harris pretty soon with a presser.
Yeah.
And it'll be great to hear from him rather than Ron. No offense to Ron about the future of the team. But yeah, it's sad. You watch the game and we were up 10-7, felt a little bit of a tingle there going,
Oh, God.
Send the Cowboys home sad. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but
no.
I mean, it's pretty exciting to have that second pick and
it's great.
5 picks in the top 100 and loads and loads of cap space. So the future's bright. Good thing is this is the first hours of the 2024 season.
There it is.
So that's the good news.
There it is, and this is the final episode of season 1 of the Dom and Pop DC.
We're not going to carry season 1 through the playoffs.
We could, or we could start it when Ron. I guess we gotta have a production meeting about.
We gotta have a production meeting. I think we gotta finish the 2023-2024 season in its entirety, and then we'll kick it in.
All right. I don't dislike that. It's all good. We'll handle that another time. I mean, look, this season was just torturous. It really was. It was tough to get through. End the year losing 8 straight after starting off 2-0. Feeling excited about the team and saying, okay, look, man, all we got to do is the defense has got to get it together, and this offense seems to be moving. Couple highlights on the year, couple big numbers. Negative 189 point differential this season, which is the worst for a franchise during the Super Bowl era. So by that metric, we're the worst team in the history of modern football this season. Now, there are many more metrics, and that's just a stupid debate and argument to have. And I see people on Twitter arguing about, is this the worst Redskins, Washington football team, Commanders team of all time, or of their lifetime, or of the Snyder era, or whatever you want to say. That's also a pointless conversation to get into because it all just sucks below a certain threshold. I think we've been the worst team in football for several weeks now. You end the season on an 8-game tilt. There's just nothing good about that. Last 4 years under Rivera, Washington has had almost as many 2-score losses, 22, as total wins, 26, under Ron Rivera. Shout out Paul Will FGP on Twitter for that one. Just sums it all up. I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting blown out as much as we're winning football games. And Rivera will likely, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be on the carousel for head coaching jobs next year. I'm going to go with
No.
probably not. He'll likely finish his coaching career one game under 500, which after the 4 years of Rivera's tenure here, I feel like him finishing his career essentially 8-9 is poetic and perfect for the football coach and the general manager. I mean, this year has just been it's been tough. It's been tough as a fan. It's been tough as a podcast. We've had a great time doing it and bringing it to you every week, but it's always hard to kind of be like, all right, what are the keys to the game? And it's like
Well,
they
it'd be a
just
lot more
keep making the
fun.
same mistakes, you know.
It'd
But
be a lot more fun if we were in the mix. There's no doubt about it.
100%, a hundred
To
percent.
spend the season just on this sort of, for lack of a better term, but it's like, dead man walking, right? You just know
Yeah,
that, that it's coming to an end. And,
yeah.
um,
You
I
knew
think,
after week 4, after the loss to Chicago, you're like, all right, well, you need a miracle or this thing's over.
yeah,
And the whole thing just went exactly
I
as we
mean, that
thought. But
Chicago game, I just couldn't believe, I wasn't actually able to watch that game live because I had a prior commitment, but as
yeah,
we're all just crazy addicted to this thing, I couldn't help but check my phone, and it just was like unbelievable, like just suspension of belief. And unfortunately, we've had many of those moments throughout the season. And
yeah,
two things can be true at once. It's our new favorite phrase on the
yeah.
Dial
We say that a
podcast.
lot around
Two
here.
things can be true at once. I do think Ron's been dealt a very, very difficult hand.
Agree.
Um, I
And
think
he's a good
I
man.
think one, it was a bad decision by a terrible owner to give him that much responsibility. But I do think, the 3 seasons prior to this season, what he was able to accomplish, giving the just, S storm that was
Yeah,
around him, I think was admirable. But I am disappointed with how he approached this year, and I just don't think he had much left in the tank. And
yeah,
he's human, and he's allowed, especially with everything he's been through, both personally and professionally, allowed to suffer from burnout, but he just looked like he was spent. And the
yeah,
tone was set with this season about player development and developing the quarterback, and it wasn't about winning. And if there's one interview question I want Josh Allen to ask the new general manager and the new head coaching candidates is, what's the most important thing to you? And if winning isn't the answer, they're eliminated from consideration. And I would set a
100%.
tone with this coach to say, it's all I really want to hear come out of your mouth. Accountability on winning,
Yep,
and not excuses about player development or roster construction or anything else going on. Because you know what? We're going to take away all that off field distraction from you. We're going to give you everything you need from a resource point of view to be successful. It should be all about winning from this point forward. And that's the disappointing thing with Ron coming into this. I'll give him all the credit for the last 3 years. Coming into this season and the way this season was handled was a complete and utter disaster.
yeah. I mean, and that's was the problem with the arrangement that Ron signed up for, and
He
that Dan
wanted,
gave
let's
him,
be
and
face,
he
let's
he
face it.
wanted. He said it was a
Right,
key part of why he came here, right?
right.
And Dan, being Dan and having the reputation that he had, if he wanted to get a guy like Rivera to try and salvage his opportunity at a reputation and being, looked at halfway decently in the NFL, if he wanted to get a guy like that, a guy like Rivera who had a great reputation, he had to give him more than he deserved to come here in terms of responsibilities. But like you said, two things can be true at the same time. I think we can admire Ron Rivera, the man and the person, for the class that he's handled all of this with, and for the fact that, you did win 8 games with Taylor Heineke at quarterback when it wasn't the plan. You won another 7 the year before. He kept us in contention. I mean, this was the only year in the 4 years that he was with us that we were not in the playoff hunt deep into the season. Now that's ultimately worthless in terms of building a winner and contending and being a part of the NFL. And that's where the second thing is also true, that Ron, it's time for you to get away from our favorite football team, and it's time for us to start building a winner and building the right thing here, which, in my opinion, it's got to be young and aggressive. That's what I want. I want a young approach. I want a young, aggressive general manager. You look at what Miami did in terms of surrounding Tua with elite talent at wide receiver, letting them develop, trading all those picks for Tyreek Hill, spending all that money. How'd that work out for them? Great. You look at what Philly did, trading to go get A.J. Brown, upgraded. Now, of course, things are taking a little turn with some injuries here towards the end of the season, lack of leadership from Sirianni. But in terms of what a GM perspective they've done, they've made great moves, been super aggressive. You look at what's been going on in Baltimore since 1996, since the second that franchise landed, consistently drafting, developing, spending money when money needs to be spent. You could argue they spent a little more money on some wide receivers, but generally doing what needs to be done to consistently be in the hunt. When was the last time the Ravens have been bad, Bob? Bad. Like this bad. You can't remember.
They've had one or two down seasons, but yeah, not
but a down
consistently.
season is what, 7 wins for Baltimore?
Right.
Like they don't bottom out. They're never picking in the top 5 like we are. Somehow we're always there. And I think when you go the route that we went, the retread route, to segue into our topic of who do you want as GM and coach, when you go the Ron Rivera route, when you go the Bill Belichick route, when you go the maybe a Jim Harbaugh route with this team and with this setup, and you give those guys all the control, they are at a certain point when they're winning and when everything's going great, it's awesome, right? But at a certain point, they're consistently in salvage mode. It's consistently about get Carson Wentz because maybe he can save us. Get Ryan Fitzpatrick because maybe he can save us.
It's therapeutic, but we know all those things. We know it was a bad structure. We gave Ron too much power, and
we're talking about who we want next. I'm telling you.
That's what I was going to say. Let's turn the corner. Let's turn the corner.
I was literally, the corner was here. I was here on the corner before you stopped me. I was right coming around it. But I don't want the old guys. I want young. I want new, fresh blood. I want Bobby Slowick, Ben Johnson.
But PFF says Josh Harris is sized for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, PFF also said Cornelius Lucas is a star left tackle in the NFL. The PFF, I like PFF as far as I'm concerned. I think
Florio, you're not a Florio fan?
I'm way more of a John Keim fan, and John Keim saying not happening. I think when John Keim says something's not going to happen, it's very rare that it actually happens.
Spot on. Where do they get that stuff from? It's just crazy.
Alagul, that's where they get it from.
Yeah.
But yeah, Belichick rumors, I don't put too much weight into them. Pop, I think at this point it's pretty clear who I want for coach. Firing up some tunes over there?
I don't know what's going on.
Get funky, man.
Just went off on its own.
Set off an advertisement or something. Probably. Who do you want as head coach, Pop? What's the direction you want to take this team in going forward? I think the people know pretty clearly how I feel.
You're the name guy, and you can rattle off who the candidates are. I know they're looking at Ravens defensive coordinator
Mike McDonald. I like
Mike
that
McDonald. Too. I know Ben Johnson's a hot candidate. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with JP Finley when he says, let's get the head of football squared away first. And let's make sure that this person is a heavy influence on who the coach is. And maybe it works out like a Wizards situation. I mean, we don't know how the Wizards situation is going to play out, but I like the structure at least they put in place where they got
according to plan so far.
They brought a GM that he knew well, and I don't think they've kind of locked in on a coach yet. But I think getting that head of football and really now, the Dan Snyder days of excuses are gone. This is Josh Harris's team. It's time for her to put a stamp on this thing, and you don't know. It might take a couple swings. I hate to say that, but I do think we've got the right people in place to make the best decision that can possibly be made, and you do it in an analytics way, and I do think the good news is it's an attractive job, right? I mean, imagine sitting around a table and with Magic Johnson across the table telling you should come here, whether it be
Yeah.
from a coaching perspective or a free agent perspective. And that's why I think, people jump the gun a little bit. You were texting me, this could be, we might have seen John Allen's last game. Maybe, maybe not. But I don't think good football players forget how to play football. I don't think we should throw out good football players. I think this needs to be a mentality of a quick turnaround rather than a full rebuild. But with every decision needs to be made for the future. Is this somebody that's going to be on our team 2-3 years down the line? But yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't have the names. I'll leave that to you. You can rattle some off here, but just wanted to. And I agree with you. I want it to be. I'd like it to be someone this is their first head coaching job. That's
Yeah.
that's earned their way up. Unless something crazy, which isn't going to happen, like a Mike Tomlin comes available. Yeah, I'd like it to be their first head coaching job. Let's go get that. That coach of the future. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. Where are you at on Jim Harbaugh, real quick? Could you be talked into that? I'm kind of on
sure.
the fence, but leaning no.
That'd be
You could be
I mean,
talked
of the
into it.
big splash candidates, I'll say you this: I'm much more into a Jim Harbaugh than I would be a Bill Belichick.
Oh,
But
totally, totally.
somebody said it well, and I'll steal it. I don't know who it was. I'm good with Jim Harbaugh if he's not given too much control, and I don't
Yeah,
know that he's going to go into a situation where he's not in a Ron Rivera type, um, power structure, and I don't want that.
yeah.
But as a
That's
coach,
exactly,
sure, he's been successful everywhere he's gone.
of course, and that's exactly how I feel about it. That's why I want that young, prove it. You look at D'Amico Ryan's down in Houston. You want to talk about a fast turnaround? We were sitting on this very podcast in this very chair a year and change ago with this Washington Commanders team, pretty much the exact same roster, right? Saying Houston is so bad, I think it's physically impossible for us to have a hangover game against them and lose to them after beating the Eagles on Monday Night Football. And that's exactly what happened. We played terribly, but they were
Yeah,
just so bad.
yeah.
We still won that game, right? And all of a sudden, new quarterback, new coach, they win the division. First season. And this is not a Ron Rivera 7-9 won the division. They won the division 10-7, winning you're in against a tough Colts team that is rebuilding. Jaguars, I think, also have a winning record, maybe losing by one, but strong division, competitive division. And they turn around immediately, and that's a
Yeah, I think the
defensive guy.
Jaguars ended up 9-8 or something like that. They
Yeah, so
definitely a winning record.
three winning records in that division, right? And that's a defensive guy in D'Amico Ryan. So that just proves if Mike McDonald is a leader and he's your stud out of Baltimore, I'm okay with the defensive guy if
Me
we've
too.
got the right people in place and we're making
As
the
long
right
as it's
moves.
with a new offensive coordinator, just to be clear.
Yes. Yes. We are out on Eric Bieniemy as a unit. I mean, I've been tweeting at it. I've been tweeting at anybody who will listen to me from the Twitter account. But just in case you guys don't follow our Twitter, first of all, go follow it. It's in the description. But if you don't follow our Twitter, yeah, we're out on Eric Bieniemy as a team. And I think he might not even make it. If there was a plane ride, maybe he doesn't make it to the plane ride, but he certainly is not going to make it any longer than Rivera. You want to get into the awards for today, Pop, just for completion's sake, and then we can hit a little around the NFL.
Who do you want as head coach? I got to hear from Dominic because you got this is your specialty.
Yeah.
Who would you want as head coach or
My
general
top
manager
three.
or the whole structure? How do you? Yeah, let
Uh,
me take a step back from that. Head coach is the big splash name, but like, what do you want to see in terms of front office structure? And then, 60 seconds or less. Who do you want as head coach?
oh yeah. So let's start at the top, right? Front office structure. Don't give me no coach centric approach BS anymore. I don't want any of that. I want a true general manager. I want a young, aggressive GM. Go get Howie Roseman's assistant. Go get what's his name, Lynch in San Francisco. Go get his assistant. Go get the assistant from Miami. The names are leaving me, but go get me one of those guys. Young, aggressive general manager with a modern approach. I would love the guy from Baltimore as well that's been discussed as coming with that would be a top candidate for me as well. We'll have names for the off-season podcast. I'll help Pop prepare the outline on that one, and we'll get plenty of names. But head coach, my number one seed is Ben Johnson from Detroit. I think what he's been able to do there is fantastic. I think you take an electric playmaker like a Caleb Williams and you stick him in a Ben Johnson system with the weapons that we have. I think that's nasty. My number two choice would be Bobby Slowick out of Houston. I know he's only done 1 year right now, but he's been around the league for a while. He was in Washington prior on that 2013 coaching staff that's going to be the entire NFL Hall of Fame by the time it's all over, and they're all going to go in there as Washington Redskins. But Bobby Slowick would be my number two pick. I think what he's done down in Houston with C.J. Stroud is fantastic, and he's proven the young, developing quarterback thing. He's obviously had a big hand in that. And you see last night against the Colts, first play of the game, 75-yard touchdown. They got the coverage they wanted. They went for the call. Paulina's on the table. That's how you set the tone in the division-winning game. And my third take would be right now, Mike McDonald would be number three for me for what they're doing in Baltimore. It's fantastic, and you just can't they're literally first in almost every statistical category on defense, and this is not a defense that anybody had pegged being a top defense
when they played us
in
the preseason, there was talk of they're not a great defense, and so I think what he's done is impressive. No, I'm with you.
And if he's been growing under the other Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, the better Harbaugh, in my opinion, if he's been growing under John Harbaugh, he's a professional, he's a leader, and if that's a mentor-mentee situation, I'm so down for getting the.
Yeah,
that's the guy that
it's going to be a lot of fun, right? To see what happens. It's going to be a lot of fun.
For the first time, because we don't have Dan Snyder and we have this ownership group that we've discussed, and we have all this cap space and all these draft picks, we don't have to sit here and say, "Oh man, I would love to get this exciting young coach," but we're probably going to end up with Jim Caldwell. Oh man, I would love to get this exciting young coach, but I think it's going to be Ron Rivera. Like, we're not picking up the scraps anymore. We can get the real thing this season. So that's super exciting. I'm good on off-season talk for now, Pop. I'm so excited to prepare more and do more going forward. But you want to hit the awards and then go around the NFL? Wrap it up, put a button on this season. So the awards, Sauce Award, we're going to give it to Terry McLaurin for the game and for the season-long Sauce Award. 6 catches for 56 yards today, 78 catches for 1,002 on the season. You can probably find individual performances that may jump off the stat sheet a little bit more, I'd say. But in terms of what Terry's been able to do in this offense that was so clearly not designed for him, and with a quarterback that he clearly just had no chemistry with, that was not looking his way, multiple games with 0 targets on the year, a couple games coming out in an interview saying he's running cardio, and he still manages 4 seasons in a row with 1,000 yards to get to that benchmark. He's our guy.
It's incredible.
We don't deserve the
number of different, with the number of different quarterbacks he's played with, and just the quality of those quarterbacks. Honestly, it's incredible, and I think I would love to see. There's always this talk of is Terry among the elite? I believe he is, and I think what he's done, given the quarterback situation, proves that. I would love to see him in a truly good offensive situation with great talent around him and a great quarterback, to see what he really could do. And hopefully that happens before he's an old man. But, just impressive. He's definitely, I think, best player on this team, and, best player probably the last, couple of coaching staffs, really. And great to see. Thank goodness they got him. The one thing they did right this game is making sure he got that record. That was great to see. This was very close. It's a what do you say, typical of the season. This was very close to being our kickouts of the game had they not gotten them to 1,000 yards. So that's kind of how the season went. But glad to see that he got over that finish line. No one's more deserving than Terry.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think you said it perfectly. I got nothing to add to that. The one thing that this operation did right was re-signing him and keeping him around, and hopefully the situation can improve such that he becomes worth all that money and then some more, and he can stay around for a few more contracts. Kickouts of the game, all the Dallas Cowboys at FedEx. It's 100% our own fault. We've put a terrible product out there for 30 years now, almost, and not almost, for literally 30 years. There have been terrible products out there. And it's just time to
But there's a difference
get that sorted
here.
out.
There's a difference here, and I'll play the old timer card. You see FedEx Field full of Eagles fans. They're either people that are come down from Philadelphia or relocated, or right next door. Giants, same thing. They're all New Yorkers, right? They come down, they fill it with blue. They got a connection to New York. I want a survey done of how many of these Dallas Cowboys fans have ever even been to Texas or been to Dallas and certainly didn't grow up there. They're just a bunch of fake
trolls.
America's team, and they got the right to do that. They can root for whoever they want to root for. But I definitely hope that this is the first step of turning the corner. I'm sure there'll always be a lot of blue in the stadium when they play, but I'm hoping that that percentage is going to just start to dwindle with this off season. They're just a bunch of posers.
Yeah, you got to entice enough of your own fans to show up to keep the Cowboys fans out, and then you can start placing on restrictions on who buys the tickets and whatever, and making sure that there's more burgundy in there. But you're just not going to get enough people to want to sign up to go watch the Tank Bowl. But hopefully we can turn it around. That's it. That's it for me on that one. I can't be too juiced up about that. I mean, I would love to care about the Cowboys rivalry again in the next coming years.
We will.
It's gotten to a point where, like, for my generation, like, the Eagles have been a bigger rival because we just seem to always get ran over by the Cowboys, and it sucks.
Yeah, we will.
I'm hoping moving forward, get it there. Hopefully they stink it up in the playoffs like they always do. And let's hit a little around the NFL. What do you say, Pop?
I'd say just
scenarios playing out.
Couple of quick shout outs, right? I was impressed with B-Rob continuing to run hard, and Tenure Gibson, I think, continued to play hard, and see Deron Payne out there, and playing and playing. And I was almost to the point of getting him out of the game. I give him a little bit of credit of being one of the few starters, and especially a starter with a lot of cachet that finished the season out. So just a couple of shout outs there.
Sam Cosmi is a stud, man.
Cosmi, yeah.
That's a building. We
probably
block.
Could have given him a helmet sticker. In fact, let's do that.
Yeah, sure. Sam Cosmi, helmet sticker on the way. That's a building block, man. I think that's a guy so typical, so typical Ron Rivera. Drafted him to play tackle, can't play tackle. Finally, after like 3 years, we move him over to guard, and all of a sudden we go, wow, I had no idea he could play guard.
Isn't this his second year?
Sound familiar?
I think this is his second year. But anyway.
He was drafted with Jamin Davis, second round in the 2021 draft. So he played the 2021 season, the 2022, 2023. This is his third year.
Okay.
But, yeah, good to see him doing his thing, and excited for him to be a building block on the offensive line. I think Chris Paul is a startable option at that left guard slot, and if we could figure out center and left tackle, all of a sudden we might get something going there. But we'll see. We got all off season to figure it out. I'd be thrilled if he was the only offensive lineman that returns next year. Be over the moon, frankly. But yeah, let's wrap this thing up. Let's do a little bit of around the NFL talk. I guess, do you want to touch on Sam, or do you want to just leave that for another pod? I think that's kind of a
What can
can
we
of
say
worms.
on Sam that we haven't already said? So yeah, I think.
I agree. I agree.
I mean,
Sad for
again,
Sam,
I
the
think
human being.
we've touched on it. I mean, I think he showed heart these last couple of weeks, but definitely
Yep.
some of the same flaws that hurt him down the stretch here.
Yep.
I don't think we've seen the best of Sam Howell yet by any means, but I think we're both, top 2 pick. If unless something incredibly unusual happens, I'm sure they're going to go quarterback. And, Sam
It's a
can come back
sad.
and back him up. But
It's
yeah,
a sad
I think we'd be just
thing.
rehashing.
It's a sad thing to say, but what's best for the franchise at this point is that Sam does not take another regular season snap for this team, because we're going to draft a quarterback at 2 and we're going to hit. So it's a sad thing to say, and you wish him the best moving forward. And Sam, the person you gotta love. You want to talk about a guy just in an absolutely unwinnable situation.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was set
he's
up for
just
he was
set up
set up for
for failure.
failure. Yeah.
Absolutely ruined by Rivera and the coaching staff this year. And you hope he can turn it around elsewhere. Let's get into around the NFL. Steelers, Bills, and Texans all secure the final spots in the AFC. Baltimore is the number 1 seed. Of course, the 2 seed is still up for grabs. I guess it's going to be between the Bills and the Bills and the Dolphins tonight, which this game's happening actually right now as we speak. So we're going to be hopping off and rushing to get in front of our TVs for that. But that's that in terms of the AFC. That picture is totally sealed. And then the NFC, the Packers locked the spot up. The Bucks locked the spot up. Wind the tape back. Who said the Packers were sneaky this year? Pop and Dom both dialed in. Did the Rams make it?
Yeah, the Rams made it. I'd like to talk
Dude,
about that because
both of
you
our.
destroyed me for saying they were going
Well,
to be a comeback team of the
I'm
year.
here. I'm
You
here
knew
trying to.
you nuked me for saying
I'm
that.
here. I'm here trying to say. I'm trying to uplift this unit. You're trying to bring it down. I'm here trying to say both of our sexy picks this year in the Packers and the Rams made the playoffs. Now I
Yeah,
did
but
predict
there's
the
a
Packers.
difference.
I did predict
You
the
said
Packers to win
Packers,
the
and I said,
division.
yeah, you're right. That's a good pick. I
I didn't
said
have his back.
Rams,
I didn't have
and
your
you
back.
went on a 5-minute tirade about how I was out to lunch, didn't know what I was talking about, and crazy.
I didn't know Puka Nakua was secretly Jesu. I had no idea. I had no idea. But you know what? I'm happy for you, Pop. This is 2
They got a
seasons in a
great
row.
coach and a great quarterback when he's healthy.
Yes,
That's a
100%.
good
And
recipe.
two seasons in a row, you've turned it around on comeback teams. You've made 2 big predictions with the Seahawks last year and the Rams this year. So Pop is dialed in. At the end of the day, when Pop's dialed in, it's good for me too. It's good for the show. And when we're both busting each other's balls, it's good for the show too. So it all
I'd
works
like an
out.
apology, but we can wait. We can wait till next podcast for that.
I'll put your written apology and the Sam Cosmi helmet sticker in the mail at the same time. All right. Eagles are in complete and utter free fall. This is a disaster. Pop, is our paisano Nick
Crazy.
Sirianni? Is he on the chopping block? Do you think, real quick? Do you think Sirianni could
I'd be
be
lying
out?
if I said I had a pulse of what's going on there. It's pretty crazy. I mean, they had a couple of injuries today, which isn't going to help
Yeah,
them.
key
Definitely
injuries too. Hurts and Brown.
feeling like a first round exit for them. I don't know if they sit at 5th, they'd go on the road against what's it, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 5 versus 4, I guess. So they'd be
Yeah,
playing
so
Tampa Bay. So not probably the team you'd want to play
it's
if
a
you had a
sausage
choice.
matchup. Yeah,
Yeah, but
they just
yeah,
got.
it's
I
crazy.
mean,
I mean, they just been in a free fall, and I was a little bit nervous in the sense of, would if the Commanders game was close with the Cowboys, would they even keep the foot on the glass?
no,
In
we
the
took care of
interest of
that.
getting that number 2, in the interest of getting that number 2 pick. But yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I mean, I don't. I mean, how can you go from being argued as one of the best teams in the NFL to now we're going to fire the coach? I think you got to pump the brakes on that. If I'm Eagles ownership, I think we got to pump the brakes on that. But it definitely shows there's some real soul searching that needs to be done there for sure.
I mean, it has gone about as nuclear as humanly possible. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, at their best, even without A.J. Brown, who was a key injury, have no business being down 24-0 to the New York Giants at halftime in a game to win the division. I mean, what the hell? Like, that is a
No,
complete
it's
collapse. I think
crazy.
that's a nuclear collapse worth of taking a look at your coaching staff, I think. I mean, I know they're talking about their defensive coordinator is going to be fired for sure. Offensively, we'll see what they do there. See what happens with Sirianni. There was that Josina Anderson report that they're hearing. She was hearing a seat in the NFC East is hotter than we'd expect it to be, and you'd expect Dayball's seat to be pretty hot. You'd expect Rivera's seat to be pretty hot. McCarthy ain't going anywhere. He's been coached a hell of a year. The team's good.
Yeah, there's
Might have a
even
little
been a
action
little
there.
noise about him if they uh, pull another typical Cowboys playoff situation. But
That
yeah,
would
I
be
don't know. I mean,
stupid.
like I said, anything's possible. I think probably more likely that there's some assistant coaches that are going to get taken care of. I mean, Hurt's been playing hurt. They got really banged up today during that
Yeah.
Giants game. I mean, hey, I love to see the Eagles suck, but yeah, it's surprising to see. And if you look at that, I mean, speaking of the NFC, probably both NFC and AFC, there's two pretty strong favorites at the top. You'd have to say there, right? With the
Definitely.
Niners and the Ravens, right? The only thing I worry a little bit about the Ravens is going 3 weeks with not really playing meaningful football. But if there's any team that's going to figure that out, they seem to be the one that can do that. So yeah, it'll be interesting who can really challenge either one of those number one seeds.
Yep.
But you never
Stay
know.
tuned for
That's
the
why they
Dom and
play the
Pop.
games. Yeah.
Yep. Stay tuned for the Dom and Pop bracket challenge. We might have to drop some brackets on you this year. I'm not sure if we're
We'll be
bringing that
doing that
back or if
this
we're going to do
week.
pick'ems or Pop's fired
Yeah,
up already for
NFL brackets.
brackets are being done. So that's going to be good. That's coming at you in a couple days, and I'm sure you guys will probably hear from us again in 24 hours with with some emergency pod news. At least, quite possibly, we got to figure out how we're going to do that. But yeah, let's wrap this thing up. What do you say, Pop?
Let's do it.
All right. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks for another great weekend.